So today we're going to be showing you how to make a Pong game in Scratch.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So you're going to start with calling it up here. You can call it like something like Pong game or something.
Or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And we're going to change the costume. So we're going to go to costumes. And we're also going to rename the sprite.
So first we're going to delete all these cat costumes. Oh wait, we can just delete the entire sprite.
Yeah, and then just make a new one.
Yeah, but first we can do yeah, okay. So you can do paint, and then which we start with them. Okay, so first we're gonna do the paddles. So you should set saturation to 0 and brightness to 100. So that's totally white. And then you can do this rectangle tool, and then right in the center. Oh wait. If you need to undo something, you can just press Control-Z, but sometimes that breaks it. So you can also press up here these left and right arrows. So set the brightness to 100. It doesn't matter what the color is, and saturation to 0. Oh wait, no, just click on this thing in the bottom left corner to set it to nothing outline.
Yeah, we're just gonna make a rectangle.
So just and then center it, and there you go. You have your first paddle.
And then you can duplicate the
No, not yet.
Oh yeah.
And then for the background, because you can't see the paddle right now, let's just set it to no brightness at all.
So it's just completely black.
Yeah. The only thing is you can't fill nothing. So just set it to the max value, which is only 100, and then just scribble in here so that's totally black. And it might be a bit laggy.
So then after that,
then the background is totally blank. And so now you can click up here where it says Save Now if you have new things to save. So we're going to go into code now, and we're going to go into events. And so one green flag clicked, and then we can click on motion and drag out one of these go-to blocks. Set the X to somewhere on the left side, around like 200, I guess. It might not be perfectly centered. So, oh, wait.
Negative 200.
Yeah, negative 200. It doesn't matter too much if it's centered or not, but sometimes that can't work very well. And then you have to set the Y to 0.
So then it's in the middle?
Yeah. And then you can also call the sprite down here where it says sprite. You can just call it like paddle 1. And so then you're going to want to drag out a forever loop. If you don't have it, then when you press the keys, it won't do anything except for the first frame. So you're going to drag out 2 if-then blocks, and then sensing, and take out these key space press, it says.
And then in each one, put up arrow and down arrow.
Or you could also start with W and S. I'm just going to do that since it's on the website.
Yeah.
And so S, and then you can you change the Y by whatever you want. I'm just going to set it to 5, I guess.
5 is a pretty good number for it.
Yeah. And before, like, you see how it's really big over here? You're going to want to drag out one of these set size to, and then you can fill around with it a bit.
Yeah, so 50 is going to work. But
I'm just going to increase the size a bit, so that's like... Okay, so once you do that, And then you can just test out the game by pressing W and S. And, oh, whoops. So, when it's the key that's going down, you have to set it to a -5 or a negative number. Because otherwise it's just going to keep going up. So as you can see now, it's moving when I press the W and S keys.
So then that's the controls for the player on the left.
Yeah, and so now you can duplicate the paddle, and it'll, if you set to, oh, I accidentally added 3Ds instead of 2.
Yeah, and it's the same thing, but we're gonna set the X value
to
just
positive 200.
So then it goes on the other side.
Yeah, and then we can set it to up arrow and down arrow.
For the person on the right.
Yeah. And so if you press W and S, it goes up and down, and this, like that. So right now you have the
paddle's pretty much done.
Yeah, for some reason there's like a dot. There's like a one white dot somewhere. So if you see that, you can just do like an eraser tool. You can just take out the eraser tool. It looks like you're drawing in white, but then it just removes it.
So yeah.
And so the white dots still isn't gone. Wait, what? Oh.
Okay.
Sorry. Sometimes that happens. I don't know why. It just creates like a thing. And yeah, I accidentally drew into that a bit. Okay, now it's gone. So now we can move on to the ball. So you create a new sprite and select paint. And then you click on the circle tool.
So you can make a small ball.
Wait. You can do it. So you hold shift, and then you can create a perfect circle.
And then we're just gotta center it, so right there.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna go into the code.
Yeah, and then
but first we're gonna rename it
to
ball. So we're gonna need a when I clicked block. Then we need, oh yeah, and then we're gonna need go to block. I'm gonna put it to 0, 0, and straight in the middle. And then we're gonna set the size to whatever is reasonable. So we're gonna put it, let's say 75.
You can try 75 first.
Yeah.
And, maybe we could do like a bit smaller, like 65. I think it's just a bit big. Okay, now that we have all of the sprites in place and a bit of coding, we can do a forever block, and then wait. So you might want to increase the speed. So you can take this my variable thing, and you can rename it to like ball speed or something.
So then what will happen?
You set the ball speed to whatever you want. Like I'm gonna set to like 6 or something.
So what will happen is the ball will start off pretty slow, and then as the game goes on, it'll get
I think that 50
faster.
I think that 50 is actually pretty good though. Since
yeah.
like the paddles are taking up a lot of the screen. So like you might need some small tweaking later. And so you're going to want to do the motion block. So you're gonna want to do like point and direction, then go to operators. By the way, point and direction is in motion. Then operators, pick random, and then you can do like 45 to 135. I just had to do a bit of math at the beginning. And then forever move and then go into variables ball speed and drag it where you would set how many steps, and then that'll move like so, but it'll get stuck in a corner. So you're gonna want to go into motion and take out a you're gonna have to scroll down a bit, but if on edge bounce.
So this will make the ball bounce around. So
yeah. So it'll go like that.
You know, get stuck.
Yeah, but right now there's no collision. So like if I move, so like if I go down here, it'll just phase through. So drag out another 2 if blocks. So this is where it gets this is where it might not seem super good, but it's similar to Pong and makes the game more enjoyable and more hard. Oh yeah, also, oh wait, I'll do it later, but so if it's touching, it's like it says touching mouse pointer, and then you can set it to paddle 1 or whatever you call the thing, and do it to both. And then the second one is like the second paddle. And so you make it face. So this is why the centering is good for this. So point towards, it says mouse pointer right now, but you can set it to paddle 1 or paddle 2. You can just right click and duplicate, but then it'll start running your game. So it says point towards paddle 2, and then you're gonna want to do one of these turn things and set to 180, so it faces in the opposite direction with both things.
So then it just bounces off and goes in the opposite direction it came from.
Yeah.
So then it'll be like if it is the edge, but it's the paddle instead.
Yeah.
So now what we
and
have
so
to do,
now if you touch it at the top, then it'll go up, and if it touches the bottom, it'll go down. So now you can so now if we increase the speed, which I'm gonna show you now. So drag out another if block. So if it is touching the edge, so if it's touching the edge, then oh wait, no. Wait, so change ball speed by like 0.2 or whatever you want in both of them when it's touching the actual paddle.
So this will make it go faster each time
it hits the paddle. Yeah.
So then it makes the game harder as it goes, so then eventually someone does lose a point. Or,
yeah.
I mean, the other player gains a point.
Yeah.
So now we have to do a score system and some other.
Yeah, so 0.2 is a bit fast. So I actually am gonna set the ball speed at first to 4. It's pretty slow, but it increases really fast. So it's more just like so you can get the hang of the actual game. Like as you saw, it faced away from the top, even though it was like touching the top. You could have a more realistic physics engine if you want, but that would take a lot of coding, and I'm not even advanced enough to do that. So let's just work on the score system now. So you're gonna want to go into variables and click make a variable, and then you can call it like left score, something like that. And then create another one with right score. So you can drag the score of the person on the right to the right because it's their score. And if you want to, you can double click on them to make it one of these. It says large readout, so it's like doesn't show what the variable name is.
It also just makes it look better.
Yeah, so you can just set the two scores to 0 in whatever spread you want. Left score to 0 and right score to 0. And so now you're gonna want to go back into backgrounds and get this rectangle tool.
And color one of them blue and one of them red.
Or whatever color you want.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what color you use.
Yeah. We can just do blue and red. So we can do blue over here. You're gonna want to do a number that you can remember, because then you're gonna have to remember what it is. Wait, I can't. Oh, okay. So drag it onto one side, that it fills the entire wall, and then you can click in the box, and then you can set it to red.
It's kind of tricky because you gotta touch in the background, but also not on the like whatever it's called, the white part.
Yeah. It's like you can do that.
And you can also just change the size if you need it to be smaller or bigger.
Yeah. Like you can just set it to like this if you want.
But it doesn't really matter as long as it's behind the paddle.
Yeah. And so now you're gonna want to go into the code of the ball. And so this is why you have to remember what the colors were. So drag out two more if then blocks. So if it's touching the color, you have to remember what it is. The red side is 100. I just set it to 100 on everything, and so if it's touching that, then you change the other person's score by 1, and then you can do another if it's touching color, and so. And you can change the left score by 1. But now if you run it and it touches the background, it'll increase the score by a lot. As you saw, it's now 6. So you're gonna want to make it go back to 0, 0, which is the center. So go to X, 0, Y, 0. In both of them.
So then it makes it so it doesn't change the score by a lot, and it also resets the game.
Yeah.
So it starts.
Yeah. So and then set the ball speed back to whatever you had it in the beginning. I had it at 4. Just so that the difficulty isn't like really high.
Yeah, because then over time it would just get really fast and it won't get any slower. So it just wouldn't be fun anymore.
Yeah.
So
now it's now it's working.
So if someone messes up, now it works better.
So yeah, if someone messes up, then the score is increased by 1 on the other person's side, and so so that's how you make a Pong game in Scratch. So thanks for watching.
Yeah.
Okay, bye. Bye.
Something.
Yeah.
Bye.